Okay, today we're going to cover section 7.2. The title of this section is called Truth Tables. Okay, so in order for you to be not an expert, but know how to do truth tables, you need a couple of things. So first of all, you need to print out the handout, the liberal arts logic handout that I gave you all, or you have access to it on our Canvas page and our modules. It looks like this. But not the first page. That's important. It's the second page. This page we're going to definitely need in order for us to be good at doing truth tables. So we need this page for sure, okay? And you're going to need some stickies. I suggest stickies so that way you can cover up certain aspects of the notes from here that you're going to cover up, which we're going to need. So think of this page like a decipher page. Let's say that there's a code and you're trying to decipher the code. Well, this handout is kind of like a decipher code. You're going to use this a lot to figure out the puzzle, because that's what truth tables are. They're more like puzzles. And so we're going to need to know the negation, the conjunction, the disjunction, the conditional, biconditional. You're going to need to know those. Not memorize them, but know them. And they're all here. They're all here. And so this is how it goes. Okay. So the variables that we use for truth tables, we use P, a lowercase p, a q, and an r, and a t. All right, those are the variables that we use. Like in math, we use x, y, z, but in truth tables, we use p, q, r, and t. When we deal with a single variable, like let's say p, and we want to construct a truth table, well, you're only going to have two results. It's either going to be a true or a false. Those are the only two results that can occur if you deal with one single, and that's where the 2 to the first power means there's two results. If you deal with two variables, like let's say you deal with p and q, well, having two of them, you're going to end up with 4 results. 2 to the second. There's 2 results. It's either going to be true or false. And if you raise 2 to the 2 power, you get 4. That's how we got 4. If you have 3 variables, let's say that you use P, Q, and R. Well, when you do your truth table, you're going to have 8 results. How did they get the 8? Well, since there's 2 choices, true or false, you raise 2 to the 3rd, and that's how you get the 8. Okay? So it all depends on how many variables that you're going to be using in the problem given to you. So you'll have to count them. In the problem, you have to count how many variables. Sometimes the variables repeat, but you only count it once. You only count that one variable once. Okay. So again, our results will either be true or false. True or false. So make sure that you truly write clearly a T for true and an F for false. Okay, you gotta write those capital letters T and F. Okay. All right, so we're gonna go through the truth tables for all of the 4 connectors. We're gonna do one for all five connectors. Sorry, not 4, but 5. We're gonna do one for the negation, the conjunction, the disjunction, the conditional, and the biocondition. Now I'm gonna share that with you. Where do you reference that on the handout that I had you print? Okay. All right, so here we go. So let's create the truth tables for all 5 connectors. All right, so here's number 1. First one is the negation. So remember, negation means the opposite. Okay. Symbol, remember, it was the squiggle with the P. Now notice, I only have one variable. It's squiggle P. Right. So when you do your truth table, there's two results. So you start off with P. So P can either be true or false. But because we are doing the opposite, right? You're going to do the opposite. What's the opposite of true? Well, there's my result. I'm going to put it in red. It's false. The opposite to false is true. So notice all I did was I just changed them from true to false, false to true. So that's the truth table results for the negation. So the results are going to be on the right side. This last column are going to be the results. So you'll have to keep that in mind when you're doing those. So when you go in and you do a truth table and you have, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a P, it can be any letter, but you start out with true, false, and all you do is negate them. Opposite of true is false, opposite to false is true. And so the red are the results, right? For the next one, the conjunction, remember conjunction means and, right? And the symbol for it was the arrow pointing up, upside down V. So notice on this one, you are involving two variables. You're using P and Q. So how do I set up my truth table? All right. So this is where you guys are going to be using the handout. So when you start your truth table, you have to start out by writing these two columns. That's how it's written. Whenever you deal with two variables, this is how they work. And then there's someone made a little song with it, and it just caught on to me, and I'm gonna just repeat it over and over, and you'll get it. So it starts with, the P starts with true, true, false, false, and then the Q alternates, true, false, true, false. That's what you start with. When you do a two variable truth table, you have to start it out. The P begins with T, T, F, F, Q goes T, F, T, F. If you forget how they go, this is where your handout comes into play. Notice this is our two variable, that's our two variable truth table. And there they are, look, T, T, F, F, T, F, T, F. So all you have to do is just copy those two columns and then put them on your paper. There they are. TT, FF, TT, FF, TF, TF. Right, so that's where you start. That's what you do first. Okay. And now we got to get the results. All right. So you're going to go to your table. All right. And notice this table right here is right here on the side. Let's see, you notice? There is my table. I'm using my sticky notes so you can see it clearly, right? You can see it clearly, the truth table that we are using, and notice how they go. They go TT, TF, FT, FT. True, true, false, false, true, false, true. This is how they alternate. It's this is the same as that. So that's where you started off. All right, so now we go back to our notes and we got to identify our connective. Our connective is the pointy arrow up, the upside down V. So I'm going to go to my table here and I'm going to cover up all the columns except the conjunction. So let's see if I can cover them up. So I'm going to cover up this one, and I'm going to cover up this one, so I can line it up, make it really nice so you can see it clear. And I'm going to cover up that. Okay. Right, so I have my TT. I remember I started TT, FF, TF, TF. Right. The answers to P and Q are these results. So if I do true and true, my answer is true. If I do true and false, my answer is false. If I do false and true, the answer is false. If I do false and false, my answer is false. All right, so here is my column of answers, and I'm gonna put those on my paper. There they are. So TT, FF, TF, here are my answers. T, F, F, F. Right. If I want to do the P and Q, the red are my results. So someone was asking, well, how do I have to memorize them? No, you don't have to memorize them. But if you want to memorize them, this is how to remember it. When you do a truth table for the and, a conjunction, the easiest way to remember, so if one variable is a false, then the results end up being false. So notice, if one of these variables is a false, the whole result is false. So notice, there's no false in both of those, right? So that's true. This one has at least one false in this row, it's false. This one has at least one false, false. Right? So that's how you remember. If one of those, and you got to do it row by row, right? You got to do it row by row. So true, true, true is true. True and false is false. See, at least one is one. If one is false, the whole answer is false. There is your one false. It's false. There is your one. Well, there's two false, so that's false. So that's how I remember it. So if one variable from the row is a false, then the whole result ends up being a false. So that's the truth table for conjunction. All right, so let's go to the next one. The next one is the disjunction. Okay, now for the disjunction, remember the term or was the key word or. Okay, so remember the symbol for disjunction, it was the right side up, V, P or Q. All right, so notice there are two variables involved in my my logic puzzle, right? There's two variables, so that means I'm gonna have to remember the first two columns of my variables, P and Q. Do you remember? How did they go? It went TT, FF, TF, TF. If you forgot, go back to your table. There it is. There's TT, FF, TF. So that's what you start. You start with that. Always start with that. All right. Now I want to perform the disjunction between the P and the Q. P or Q. So I'm going to go to my table and I'm going to cover up all the other columns except I only want the disjunction shown. So I'm going to cover up. I need to cover up. Do I have enough space? I want to cover it up nice. Close enough. Close enough. Well, cover it up a little bit more. There are the results for the disjunction. So when you have two truths, that's true. We got to do it row by row. If you have a true or a false, you end up getting a true statement. These are the results. False or true is true. False or false, you get false. All right, so I'm going to put those results on my paper for disjunction. All right, so there they are. T, 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 F. Those are the results for the disjunction. Right? Now, again, you don't have to memorize them, but if you want to memorize them, a way to remember it is if any row has a true, then the result ends up being true. There has to be at least one true in a row of results. So notice there is a true, so that's true. There's two of them actually. There is a true there, boom, it's true. There's at least one true. The only way it becomes false is if both of them are false. So if any part of any row contains a true, then the result ends up being a true. That's how you remember disjunction. Or two wrongs make a wrong. That's what I was told. I didn't think about that, but two wrongs make a wrong. Sure. Okay. And I put the person's names. We're not gonna count or call them out, but those are their initials of the people that wanted to participate and tell me a way to remember it. It's a J and an A. All right. Okay, so that's just junction. All right, next one is going to be conditional. Remember, conditional was the if then. That was the one that had the one-way arrow, right? One-way arrow. Again, this one's going to have two variables, P arrow Q. All right, so how do we start off our truth tables? We always start with TT, FF, TF, TF. Okay. There it is. TT, TF, TT, FF, TF, TF. Okay. That's what you start off with. Now, I want the conditional. So on my handout, I only want conditional. So I'm going to block out. I just want the conditional. Hopefully I can cover it up. I don't think I'm going to be able to nicely, but I'll try. And there's my conditional results. So if I do row by row, true, true equals true. True, false. True arrow false is equal to false. False arrow true is true. And false arrow false is true. Right. Here are the results. If you perform the arrow to P and Q, these are your results. Okay. So I'm going to put those results on my table. There they are. T, F, T, T. Again, you don't have to remember it, but if you want to remember them, how do I remember it? Well, someone told me the only false occurs, and only one false occurs if T is true on the left and false is on the right. Yep, look at that. That's the only one that ends up being false, is T is on the left, false is on the right. Everything else ends up being a true statement. So that's how you can remember conditional. All right, the last one, the biconditional. Remember that one, the key word is if and only if. This one had the two-way arrow, right? It was a two-way arrow. So this one also uses two variables, P and Q. And so we start off our truth table with TT, FF, TF, TF. TT, FF, TF, TF, TT, FF, TF, TF, right? And I want to get the results for the biconditional. So I'm going to go to my chart. All right, here, I'm keeping these here. And now I'm going to just leave the biconditional column open by itself. Hope I got it even. Trying to get it as even as I can. Right. And so here are your results. So if you have true, if and only if true, it is true. True, double arrow, false is false. False, double arrow, T is false. False, double arrow with false, that is true. So I'm going to copy those. Those are my results. And I'm going to put them on my table. There they are. T, F, F, T for double arrow. If you want to remember it, here's a way to remember it. The rows must be identical results in order for it to be a true. They got to match. All right, so notice I have a pair that matches, TT, that's true. These don't match, it's false. These don't match, it's false. But these match, which is true. So one way to remember it, must be identical twins in order for it to be true. They got to be identical twins. Identical, identical. True, true. Again, there is no memorizing on these, folks. You don't need to memorize anything. No need to. You're going to be relying on this handout, and you're going to need your stickies to do those truth tables. Okay. All right, so we're going to do an example. All right, let's do an example. And we got paper, and we'll cover it up. Let's first do this example here. So we're going to do, let's do a truth table for not parenthesis P and Q. Okay, so what do we do? All right, so you're going to perform kind of like order of operations. We're going to create, well, that's an example of what it looks like, right? So we're going to do, let's just do one. We're not ready for that, but that's kind of like an example we're going to do. But you will have to perform order of operations, right? So you all remember PIMDOS. So that may play an important factor when we do these. Okay, very important. All right, so let's do one for reals. Let's create a truth table. I don't want to do that one yet. That's a little bit too advanced, but we'll do an easier one. Let's create a truth table for P and not Q. P and not Q. All right, so here we go. So we're going to start with our truth table, our set of values. So remember, look at the problem. How many variables do I have? I have a P and I have a Q. So that means I have two variables. So I'm going to do a two variable truth table, and I do it again. TT, FF, TF, TF. That's what you start with, because you have two variables. If you had three variables, which we're going to do later, this is a two variable one. If you have three of them, this is how you start your truth table. You're going to have 8. We're going to do those later, but not right now. These are just this one's a two variable. Okay. All right, so we got that done. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the negation of Q. So I'm going to do that part first. Let's do the negation of Q first. All right. So how do I do the negation of Q? All right. So I'm going to get my Q column. All right. I'm going to get my Q column. And I'm going to take the opposites. That's what the negation means. So what's opposite of true? It's false. Opposite to false is true. Opposite to true is false. Opposite to false is true. Now, I'm going to also request that maybe you should get different color pins when you do these. Oh yeah, it makes a big difference when you have different colors of pins. So what I did was I notated the first part that we have to do in green. So there's the green column. So I put my results in that column in green. Okay. So I did this part. That's step number 1 there. Okay. I did step number 1. Now I am going to do the green. I already got the green column. Now I got to do P and the green. Right. So now I have to look at I already did that part already. Now I have to look at the connective. That connective says to do and. So that is going to be step number 2. And. Okay. So how do I do it? All right. So because I want to do P and squiggle Q, right, I need to cover up the middle part of my chart right there. Okay, I want to do that, but I want to do the connective and. All right, so that tells me, all right, I got to go to my table on my notes, and I need to cover up all the other columns except my connector, the conjunction. I need to cover up everything except my conjunction. So I'm going to do that. Let's cover it up. I'm going to cover up that one. I only want the conjunction. Okay. All right. So this is where the deciphering comes into play. All right. So what you're going to do is just ignore these letters. All I'm concentrating on are these pairs. Okay. I want to concentrate on these pairs, and I want to match them with each of these rows. All right. I want to match row with row that match exactly, row with row. And when I find a match, I want to write down the result. So for example, the first row here says TF. Okay, now let's look for TF on my table on my handout. Here's TF. There's my result. My result is going to be false. So I put a false there. Okay. Next one is TT. Let's look for TT on my handout. There's TT. The answer is 8T. So I'm going to put 8T on there. And you keep doing it row by row. FF. All right. Here's my FF. My answer is false. So I'm going to put false on my third result. All right. Last row. FT. Go over here to my chart. FT is equal to F. And so there's my result. So you're matching the row of true false trues with the ones on the handout and getting the results from that conjunction connected. These are your results. And you put the answers. And so these are the results for that particular logic puzzle. Okay. That's how it works. So you're going to be using a lot of stickies, and a lot of colors to do this. It takes practice. It takes practice, but you'll get it. So someone was asking me, well, what's the order of operations? I know PEMDAS is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. How does it work with logic? Well, with logic, it's a little bit tricky. So it goes like this. So you want to do the negation with single variables first. Okay, that's what you do first. You do the parentheses. You got to do what's inside the parentheses. Then you do the biconditional, then the conditional, left to right, conjunction, disjunction, and then you perform any negations outside of the parentheses. And so that's the order of operation for truth tables. And don't worry, you'll get it a little bit. Once we do a whole bunch of examples, you'll start to get it. Now, when you're performing these truth tables, if all of these results that you do ends up being all true, let's just say all of these were all true, we call that a tautology. That means that all the results ended up being true, all of them. It's rare, but it happens. However, if you get all falses in the last column, that is called a self-contradiction. Okay. So we'll go through them and see what happens when we do truth tables. We may end up getting tautology, we may get self-contradiction. If neither occurs, then you're right, neither. It's just a regular truth table. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to do one. Okay, we're going to do a whole bunch of examples. You get your color markers and get your hand and your stickies. And we're going to try some. Here we go. Let's do a truth table. We're going to create a truth table for not P or not Q. We're going to do a truth table for not P or not Q. All right, so I know there are two variables. So I'm going to have to do my P, Q, right? And do you remember how it went? How did it begin? Right? It started as TT, FF, TF, TF. That's how you start it. Here you go. This is the start. TT, TF. Here, I'm gonna put here start. This is where you start. Start. That's the start. I was gonna write on it, but I didn't write on it. All right. So that's where you start. All right. Now, what do we do next? Remember our order of operation. What do I got to do? Let's do the not P first. So I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do it in green. So let's create a new column and we'll do not P. All right. So what does that mean? I have to go to my P column and I got to put the opposites on this column. So that's what the little squiggle means. What are the opposites? What's the opposite of T? The opposite of T is F. The opposite of T is F. The opposite of F is T. And the opposite to F is T. So I did that part. Okay. Now I'm going to do the not Q. So I'm going to create a new column and call it not Q. All right, so I'm going to cover up the P column. Don't worry about the green. We already did the green. What I'm concentrating on is I want to do the not Q. I want to go to my Q column and I want to do the opposites. I want to put the answers to the opposites of these results. All right, so what's the opposite of true? Is false. Opposite to false is true. Opposite to true is false. Opposite to false is true. All I'm doing is I am taking the opposites of these and putting them here. See, T opposite, 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 opposite. And now I'm going to uncover them. And now I want to do the whole thing. I want to do the whole thing. So I'm going to get the green and I'm going to apply that connector to both of those, the green and the purple. So what I'm going to do is I'll make a new, the last column, and I'm going to do not P or not Q. And so what I want to do is I want to get the column that has a not P and the column for not Q, and I want to do the connector for them. So I'm going to cover up my PQ column. Okay. And I want to find my connector on my handout. Right. So my handout is, I believe that's the disjunction. So I need to cover up, I need to go to my handout and I only want the disjunction on it. There's my disjunction. All right, so I'm going to go over here and I'm going to match. Okay, I'm going to do row by row. So let's start with the first row. FF. All right, here's FF. The result is F. So I'll put an F here. Okay. Next row is FT. Look for FT. Oh, that's that row right there, FT. And the result is a T. Next one, TF. There's my TF. It's the second row. The second row result is a T. We put the T. Last row is TT. Let's look for TT. TT, that's the first row. The result for TT is T. And there you go. There is your truth table for not P or not Q. This is not a tautology, nor is it a contradiction. It is a contradiction. It is neither. This is a neither. Neither. Truth table. Okay. All right, next one. Let's do another example. And this one's gonna go, I need a pen. All right, and blue. Okay, so the next one says to create a truth table for P and Q, we're doing parentheses, arrow P. Okay, we're going to do truth table for this one. Okay, so let's count the number of variables. There's I know you see 3, but you don't count P twice. You only count it once. So technically there is 3, but in reality there's only 2 variables that we're using in this expression. We're using P and Q. I know there's another P, but we're using P and Q. So that means we're gonna have to do our 2 variable truth table, right? All right, and you remember how it goes? How do we start? We went TT, FF, TF, TF. All right, cool. So that's where we start. Okay, now you all remember we have to do order of operations. So what do we have to do first? That's right. We have to do the parentheses. We got to do that first. Parentheses has priority, so we're going to do that first. All right, so I'm going to make a column and I'm going to do P and Q. I'll put in parentheses. All right. And so my connector for this parenthesis part is the and. That is the conjunction. So I'm going to go to my table and I need to get the conjunction column only. I only want the conjunction. So let me cover up all the other stuff and only leave the conjunction. So many stickies. So there's my conjunction. Oops. Trying to make the sticky stick. But it's not letting me stick. There we go. There you go. There is the conjunction column. So match. Okay, here we go. First, do it row by row. Match it, match with match. TT, I want TT. TT is equal to a T. Right? So TT is T. All right, next row. TF. Let's look for TF. That is the second row. TF is equal to F. FT, all right. FT is equal to F. And F and F is F. There it is. T, F, F, F. So that part, my friends, is this piece right there. All right, next. I got that part. And I want to do the arrow to P. Now notice, I'm going to get confused. If I do this arrow with P, it gets confusing. So I like to do things from left to right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I know I did this part. I'm going to rewrite column P, and I'm going to put column P. I'm just going to copy it and just paste it over to the other side. So that way I won't get confused. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put P, and I'm just copying. I'm going to just copy that row and just put it here. So look, I'm just copying it. T, T, F, F. That's all I'm doing. And then you're probably wondering, why is he doing that? Why are you doing that, sir? Well, because look at the way the problem is reading. I want to do this part, which is blue, P and Q, but I want to arrow it with P. So that's why I'm going to make the last column, and I'm going to apply my P hat Q arrow with my P. So we're now going to get the answers to this column based off of what I did in the blue and what I did in the green. So there's the blue part, and there's the green. All right, so let's look for the connector. I need the connector of the arrow. So let's go to our arrow, and I believe the arrow was conditional. So I need to find the column that has the arrow. So the arrow will be that column. There it is. All right. So now I have I'm going to have to match the blue-green rows with these results and get the answer. Here's my answers right here. I need to transfer those answers, but I need to make sure which row goes with what. All right, so here we go. So TT on my map, on my notes, TT on my conditional, TT is equivalent to T. Next row, FT, looking for FT. Oh, that's the third row. The third row is FT. My answer is T. Third row, FF. FF is the last row. That's equal to T. And I get FF. FF again is T. Oh, look at that. Look at my answers. My answers all came out to true. What does that mean? It is a tautology. It is a tautology. Yes, we have a tautology. Everything came out to be true. Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna do four more examples. We're gonna do two more We'll do two more, and then I'm going to show you how to do one with two more with three variables. That's a fun one. So here we go. Let's try another set. Another set of examples. All right, so let's create a truth table for, write it down. I'm going to do a truth table for P double arrow, P and Q. Double arrow, P and Q, just making sure. We're going to do a truth table for that statement. All right, so again, I have two variables, right? We're only using P once, it's counted once, even though it appears twice. It's a two variable, one. So how do I start? Well, because it's two variables, I start with my columns for P and Q. You all remember how it goes? How did it go? How did it go? How does the song go? I wish 50 Cent would sing a song, or Dr. Dre. TT, FF, TF, TF. I'll have to ask Snoop Dogg to make a song. All right, so we started off there. All right. So now I have to do, again, I have to do parentheses. That's first thing you have to do is the parentheses. That's That's step number 1, parentheses. So I'm going to create my column. And I'm going to do P with my connector and Q, right? So now I have to go to my notes, my chart, and I need to find the connector. So let's find my connector. There it is, my conjunction. So I have to cover up my negation column, and I have to cover up the other ones. So I don't need the other ones. I just want the connective conjunction. There you go. All right, here we go. Let's match. Do it row by row. So TT, all right, go to my TT. That's the first row. Answer is T. All right, I got stuck. All right, second row is TF. TF, oh, that's the second row. F. All right, FT. FT is F. And FF is F. Well, that was easy. Okay. So I did this one. All right. Now I have to do P. Now I got to do the whole thing. Now it's in order. So I already have my P on the left side, and I got my P and Q on the right side. So I don't have to rewrite P and put it over here because I like things written left to right. It's matching. Like this is on the left, this is on the right. So I'm good. I don't have to rearrange anything. It's good. So now I'm going to do the entire thing. I'm going to do the whole thing, but you got to remember your connector is now what? It is a double arrow. So I am going to perform P double arrow with P and Q. And so what I'm going to do is on my table, on my paper that we've been doing, I'm going to cover up the Q. I don't need the Q because this line is saying to do P double arrow with the green results. That's what that's written. P double arrow with P and Q, right? It's getting stuck to my hand. All right, so my handout, I need to find the connector with the double arrow. So I'm going to go to my handout. And here's my double arrow. Double arrow. Double arrow. There it is, double arrow. All right, here we go. Gonna match. Ooh, this is gonna be difficult. How do I do this? A way of making it smaller. Oh, I can't. Well, yes, there is. This is gonna be difficult. There we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now let's match. So first row. This is my homework paper, right? So TT, go to my TT, that's the first row. That is equal to T. Next row, TF, find TF. Oh, that's the second row. TF is equal to F. Third, FF. Oh, that's the last row. FF is equal to T. And the last one's FF, so that's equal to T. Oh, all right. So here are my results. They're not all the same. So this one would be a neither truth table. It's neither a tautology nor a self-contradiction. It is a neither. And so there you go. That's the truth table for that. Again, they're like puzzle people. You ever play Sudoku, Sudoku or Candy Crush, any of those games, kind of like that. All right, here we go. Next one. They get a little bit more intensive. So let's see if we can do the next one. I think I'm going to be able to do it on, I'm going to have to wing it. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so the problem reads, in parentheses, P and Q and not P and not Q. And I need to create a truth table for that. Okay, so here we go. So we start, we have two variables, P and Q, two variables. So we start, and hopefully I have enough space. The longer these problems get, the more likely you'll have to do your paper this way instead of this way. We'll see if it fits. Right, so I'm going to start at the very far end. So I'm going to do P, create a column for Q. That's the start. Remember, how did it go? T, T, F, F, T, F, T, F. So that's where you start. Right, now, notice we have two sets of parentheses. We're going to have to do each of those two sets of parentheses. All right, so let's start with this one. Okay, so to do that one, I'm going to create a column, P and Q. So there's my connector. I'm going to have to go to my handout and find my connector, the conjunction, I believe. Let's on a conjunction. Cover up this. Cover up. Here we go. We got my connective. I got my conjunction. Now I'm going to compare. So I'm going to do each row. TT, look at my decipher code. TT is T. Next one, TF. TF is F. Next one, FT. FT. FT is F. FF. FF is F. So I got my purple. Okay, put my purple column. I want to use that purple column later. Right. All right, now if I want to do the inside of the other one, I'm going to have to do it in pieces. So I have to do, I have to do this by itself and this one by itself. All right, so what do I have to do? I have to get the P columns and take the opposites for that one. And then I have to make another column for my Q naught. I'll have to do the opposites of that. So I'm going to go ahead and do each of them separately. So I'm going to do one with the P and one with the Q, right? And so remember, you're doing not P. We're doing not P. So we're getting the results here, and we're doing the opposite. So opposite. So this is going to be F, F, T, T. Okay. And then I want to do the Q one. I want to do the opposite of the Q results, right? So I'm covering up those two. Now I want to do the opposites. Q is TF, TF. So I'm going to do the opposites. So that would be F, T, F, T. Okay, because we're doing the opposites. Okay, so that's that one, and that's that one. There is the not P, and there's the not Q. So now I want to perform the connective for both of those, right? So I want to do the and. So I got to make another column, and I want to do not P and not Q. Right? So we're going to have to go and find our connectives. And oh, here it is, the connective. So I'm going to cover up my paper, and I want to do the connective for conjunction, right? But I'm doing it for the blues that we just did. I want to do it for the not P and the not Q. All right, so here we go. We're going to decipher it. So I got the connector. There's my connector. There's my results. I just need to match row by row with the results, right? So FF. FF matches here, the last one. My answer is F. FT. FT is F. TF. TF is also F. And TT. TT is T. I didn't write my F correct. Okay. So I have F, 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 T. For the green, this is the green column, right? So I did purple is that, green is that. This is supposed to be blue. Sorry, they're not coming out, but this is purple. That's that part. This is the green. Now what I have to do is I have to perform the connective with these two groups. I got to do the and again. So now I got to do the whole thing. That whole thing. So I got to make a last column. And I want to do P and Q and not P and not Q. Right. So there's my connector again. It is the conjunction. Right. And now I'm going to compare the oops, I didn't cover it up. Purple and green. We need to cover, we got to cover up the other ones, and I'm going to do purple and green, purple and green, purple and green. All right. So here's the purple and green. All right. So here I go. T F. TF is F. FF. All right, FF is F. FF is F again. And the last one is FT. FT is F. Uh-oh. Look at that. All of them ended up being F. What is that? What kind of a truth table is this? This is a self-contradiction. Amazing. Well, true. All right. So those are some examples of truth tables that involve two variables. Now we got to do a truth table that involves three variables. Now, those can be a little bit challenging, but the only way to successfully get it correctly is you have to have your handout. You need this handout. Very important to have this handout. Okay. So let's do one that has 3 variables. All right, so here we go. Let's do, as an example, we're going to do 2 of them. So on this one, I have to do it sideways because it's not going to fit. It won't fit on my paper. Okay, so here we go. Let's do a truth table for P or Q parentheses, double arrow with Q or R. So this one has 3 variables. All right, so my truth table is going to be bigger. It's going to have 8 rows. When you have 2 variables, you have 4 rows. This one's going to have 8. So how do I start? Well, go to your handout and you got to find, these are your starts. This is your 4, this is your 2 variable, this is your 3 variable. So I have 3 variables, so this is for how it starts. So if you want to know how it works, it starts out with 4 T's and then 4 F's for the first column. T, 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 F, 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 F. The Q does 2 and then alternates. 2 T's, 2 F's, 2 T's, 2 F's. The R alternates. TF, 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 TF. That's how it works. All right, so I'm gonna copy my start. P, Q, R. And I'm gonna write down the results from the start. It goes T, 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 4 T's, 4 F's. All right. And then I remember the second column goes 2 T's, 2 F's, 2 T's, 2 F's. The third column alternates. TF, 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 TF. That's how it starts. All right, so again, we do the procedure and we got to do order of operations. So we got to do parentheses. So I'm going to do left to right. So I'm going to do that first. Okay, so I'm going to do P or Q, right? P or Q. All right, so I'm going to cover up my R column. I hope I can cover it all up. I don't think I can. I'm going to try to cover up my R column. I think I can cover it up. Covering up my R column. There. Okay. And I got to find my connector of OR. That is a disjunction. So I'm going to go to my disjunction. And I need to just cover up. I just want that shown. There you go. There is my conjunction. No, wrong one. I need a disjunction, right? I need disjunction. I need a disjunction one. Cover it up. Cover that up. Okay, so there's my disjunction column. And I'm going to compare each of those 8 rows with my decipher. So that way I can figure out the results for all 8. And you just do it row by row. All right, so here we go. TT, let's start with the first row. TT is 8T. Okay. Next row, TT is also 8T. It's a duplicate. It's T. Next one is TF. TF is T. TF is T. FT. FT is T. FT is T. FF. Let's see. FF is F. And FF is F. Right. So there's 8. So there's 8 results. I'm using my decipher code to get my answers. All right. So that's the green part. Right. Now I gotta do this part. I'm gonna do this part right there. Okay. All right. So now I'm gonna do the red. I should have done red. That's all right. Red. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna do Q or R. So I'm gonna cover up my P column. And I'm going to do again my disjunction column. I already have it here, my disjunction column. Right, so I'm gonna compare. Now I'm just using the Q and the R columns, and I'm gonna do row by row, and when I do, I'm gonna compare those two results with my decipher code and put my answers here. Don't worry about the green. We already did the green part. We're gonna do these two columns and put the results here. Okay, so here we go. TT is T. TF is also T. FT is T. FF is F. TT is T. TF is T. FT is T. And FF is. So now I have the green, I have the red. Now I got to perform the connective with those two columns now, but involving that connective. So let's find my connective. Oh, this is double arrow. So my double arrow is my biconditional, I believe. It gets a little bit scary. This is scary. Let's see if I can fit it. I'm gonna have to do it in purple. So I'm gonna do P or Q, that's that. Double arrow, Q or R. So I'm going to perform the connective to those two columns, the red and green. Red and green. All right, so here's the paper. Oh, you can barely see it. Barely fits. Okay, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it row by row, row by row. All right, here we go. All right, so TT, Go to my TT, that's the first row. That is going to equal to a T. All right, next one, TT, go to my TT, TT is T. Next one, TT again, it's gonna be T. TF, TF, ooh, that's a false. TT is a T. TT is a T. FT. FT is an F. And FF is a T. All right, and there are my truth table results for this whole expression. This is a neither truth table. It's neither a tautology nor a self-contradiction. It's not that bad. You just have to take it step by step to work it out. We got one more truth table. Okay. So let's do another one. Right. So the last one reads P or Q arrow R. Okay. Again, this one has 3 variables, which means I'm going to have to start it up with this one, with 3 columns, right? So let's see if you remember them. So it went, how did it go? How did it go? How did it go? How did it go? Four T's, 4 F's, T, 2 T's, 2 F's, 2 T's, 2 F's, and then it alternates. T, F, T, F, T, F, T, F. Okay. And you can double check. This table should match exactly like this. Should be. Right. All right. So what do we do first? Parentheses. That's correct. We're gonna do the parentheses. Okay. So I'm gonna do Q arrow R. I'm gonna cover up my P column. I don't need the P column. And so I need to find the connector for Q arrow R. I'm gonna go to my table, find out, and I want the connector. I want the conditional connector. Right? Conditional. I want that. I only want that column shown. So I'm gonna cover this. I only want the arrow. And I'm gonna go row by row and find the results for each of them. I'm comparing Q and R. These are my Q and R's. Don't look at these. You're looking at the Don't look at the bolded ones. You're looking for the pairs. You want these to match these. You want to see where they match, right? So I need T, arrow T. So I'll go over here, T, that is a T. Right? TF. TF on my handout is F. FT is T. FF is T. TT is a T. TF is an F. FT is a T. And finally, FF is T. Right? So I got that part. Right? Now I want to do the connective that's in front of it along with its P partner, right? So that's the next thing I have to do is the last column. I'm going to get this P, which is that column right there, P, and I'm going to apply the connector, which is the OR, which is the disjunction with the green. So I need to cover up. I need to cover up the QR. We don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need the QR column. I need those two. But I do need to know P. There's my P. There's the P column. And there's the Q arrow R. Those are the results. Now I have to do the disjunction. So I'm going to go to my paper. And I want only the disjunction to show. Keep it. Keep the disjunction. Disjunction shown. Once again. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's match row with row. Here we go. T or T. T or T is a T. Next row. TF. TF is T. Next one. TT. TT is T. TT is T. FT is a T. FF is a F. FT is T. FT is a T. And that's it. So here are our results for this statement. There's 4 T, there's 5 T's, an F and a TT. So this one is also considered a neither truth table. So I wasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stickies. Yes, so at most you need like 8 stickies to complete. Now, the only way you're gonna be really good at these, you don't have to be experts, but if you want to be really good at these, you got to practice your homework. You got to really practice the homework, right? And you gotta have this handout, which you guys can use for your exams, your quizzes, your homework, and the final exam. All right. All right.